Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. I am the niche fragrance collector and I am doing part three of all things XERJOFF. If this is the first time that you're coming across the NFC channel, have a look at the other two productions that I've done on all things XERJOFF. Now in part two, I mentioned that one day I would like to meet Sergio Momo. He is the owner and creative director of all things XERJOFF, and I had that very opportunity. I was in Milan for Exons, the beautiful people of Libertine Perfumerie. I'll tell you more about these wonderful individuals who are based here in Australia. Connected me to the XERJOFF people, and I was fortunate to go to the XERJOFF Exons party. This photo here is myself and Sergio Momo. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this photo, and I promise that is Sergio. I mentioned Libertine Perfumerie. They're an incredible niche perfumery retailer here in Australia. They're doing a promo. If you were to buy any XERJOFF off their website, use the code NFCXERJOFF, you'll have the chance to win a 100ml bottle of ERBA GOLD. The promo starts 10th of March and will run till the 24th of March. You can enter as many times as you want. All you got to do is keep using that same code. So if you want to order 5 bottles for argument's sake, then I would do 5 unique orders. Boom, 5 entries, and away we go. Good luck. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning. If you are a collector, then XERJOFF is probably not the best place for you to be. If you're a perfume lover, 100%, come on in. As a perfume lover, you'll absolutely enjoy this. But as a collector, and I have warned you, XERJOFF have a way of creating collections. You want to complete those collections. So I'm going to talk about some fragrances that are in collections. And so anyway, I've warned you. The rest is on you now. Let me begin. This is part of the 1861 collection. There are 4 fragrances in this collection. And 1861 is in reference to the unification of Italy. So prior to that moment, Italy was all these different states and fiefdoms. And it was in 1861 that it became the country that we understand it to be today. This is why when you travel around certain parts of Italy, let's say Tuscany, they see themselves as Tuscans or as Florentines. Yes, they're Italians, but their first loyalty is to their state. Now this one here is called Renaissance. And the question is, why? The word Renaissance is about revisiting or the revival of something that once was. Renaissance, in my opinion, is referring to the fact that the modern day birth of perfumery didn't start in France, like some people would like to think, but in fact started in Italy with a woman by the name of Caterina de' Medici. Now, for those who might be interested in a little bit more of this, have a look at the episode I did on Renaissance, where I go into more detail. But in particular, Caterina de' Medici, before she went from Italy to France to marry the soon-to-become King of France, asked the monks of the Santa Maria Novella area to create a fragrance that would remind her of her homeland of Italy. What they created was a fragrance that is vibrant in citruses. It has a green and woody component to it and celebrated the area that was her Tuscan home. Renaissance is exactly that. It's this beautiful citrus, vibrant opening with a lemon and orange components to it. That citrus plays probably for about 30 or 40 minutes, and then you begin to get these beautiful green, minty notes coming through. It finally dries down into a woody base, but never loses its original touch of those citrus notes, including that petitgrain, that greenness that's in the fragrance. This is vibrant. This is exuberance. This is summertime. This is a joyous fragrance to be wearing. Sometimes there's a misconception that citruses are only designed for summertime. So when glorious sunshine, and it's true, a citrus fragrance in summer is magical. However, Renaissance, and I can vouch for this, is incredible as a winter fragrance. Gloomy, even raining and cold outside, Renaissance, it almost brings sunshine into your life. It's this beautiful, vibrant, exuberant fragrance. This, for me, is Italy. Italy is a country that I adore. Everything about Italy celebrates all things Mediterranean. It celebrates the sunshine. There is a sense of happiness to the place, no matter where you visit. And Renaissance is Italy in a bottle for me. Fragrance is categorized as a woody amber. However, for me, there is more of that vibrant citrus. Most citrus fragrances don't last long. You find that the molecules are quite small. Renaissance defies all of that. I feel that for me, I'm getting 6 to 7 hours comfortably when it comes to its projection and sillage. I go from a moderate to a low, but it always is prevalent. It never goes into a body scent. You can always detect it. I did mention that this is beautiful as a winter fragrance. However, in summertime, the more you sweat, the more your body heats up, the more this fragrance pushes itself out. Glorious as a summer fragrance, but magical as a winter fragrance too. ERBA GOLD is a new inclusion to the XERJOFF lineup, and even the bottle is also a new iteration. Previously, this whole collection was called the Velvet Collection. This one here is an extension to Erba Pura. For those who are familiar with Erba Pura, you'll know that that fragrance there has a very strong and compelling fruit note to start off with. And then when it dries down, it goes to this very distinct musky tone to it. One thing I've found with Erba Pura is that it is polarizing. Some people absolutely adore it and others not so much. I'm one of those guys that absolutely love it. I also did an episode on that. Erba Pura, you don't overspray. 2 sprays is more than comfortable. That fragrance is eternal. It will last you 24 hours plus, and you'll find that the projection, the sillage on Erba Pura is exceptional. So Erba Gold builds on that architecture, but it's been tempered somewhat. Let me spray. Enough talking. So I'm not one to, I don't do flankers. So if I have a fragrance from a particular lineup, I necessarily don't buy the supporting acts. In this case here, you could deem that Erba Gold is a flanker to Erba Pura. I would challenge that. I'm actually saying that this is its own unique fragrance. For me and my family, this was an instant success. Everybody that wears it absolutely adores it. Now, if you notice, I'm not going to spray. I'm not going to spray on skin because I find that Erba Gold can stay for 24 hours comfortably. I find also that when it comes to its sillage and projection, it's not as enormous as Erba Pura, but it does have incredible push. I feel that for me, this fragrance goes from a very high to a moderate, meaning that it still has incredible sillage, incredible projection. People are fully aware that you're wearing Erba Gold. I feel like the magic of this fragrance is the way that the fruits have been tempered. It has spicy notes on the opening: ginger, clove, cardamom, cinnamon. And I feel that this brings back the sweetness of those fruits that are there. I also love it. Every time people smell this fragrance, they're like, that mango. I love the mango. Now, there could be mango in here, but according to XERJOFF, the official notes are in fact melon, pear, and apple. And when you stop and smell each one of those individual notes, beautiful pear and a melon note with this apple, it's divine. Those combined, it does give it a mango tropical touch to it, but not overtly sweet. It celebrates more the amber component. This is a whole new expression, a whole new fragrance. And that mango, even though there's no mango, is divine. A beautiful new inclusion. And as I said before, I do love the new design of the bottle. The colors that are there are vibrant across your shelf. I mentioned earlier that XERJOFF loves working in collections. So Sergio Momo's background is a design. You can tell from the way that everything is so beautifully uniformed, whether it may be this incredible lid that is so distinctly XERJOFF, to the actual shape of the bottles, the packaging. All of it is very cleverly unified through its design. Now, there's a new collection that has emerged called SKETCHBOOK. And the logic behind it is that Sergio was writing down in his sketchbook different ideas, different concepts. This one here is P33, referencing page 33, where this design was actually located in the book. There's so much detail that has gone into this particular bottle, from its sandblasted, hand-painted XERJOFF written across the entire bottle. This is number 257 out of 4,000. So it gives me the indication that this is a limited edition. I don't know if that is actually the case. As a person who loves collecting, when I see things like this, It's almost to the point of shut up and take my money. This one here, I adore. It's a new inclusion. Actually, you know what? I'm going to spray it on skin. I'm actually wearing this one today. I find that this one here is divine. One of those that in our family, it's become an instant love. The moment that you spray, it's like, I mean, for me, it was shut up and take my money from the design of the bottle, the numbered on the back, yada, yada. But then the actual fragrance itself is exceptional. There's a thing that I love doing called, baby, what's your name? And the idea behind it, these are all the different episodes that we've done, is that I like blindfolding people and asking them, does this particular scent profile make you turn your head? And ask the question, you know, baby, what's your name? For me, P33 is a baby, what's your name style of fragrance. It has this very alluring scent profile to it. There is a Moorish component to it, to the point where the moment you spray, you instantly are like, baby, what is your name? Interestingly, this fragrance here is a parfum. ERBA GOLD is an eau de parfum. So the oils here are a much higher concentration. However, I find that P33 is more a moderate to low when it comes to its projection and its sillage. It is still discernible. This is not a body scent. I find that for me, I get 24 hours comfortably. However, if I compare the two together, ERBA GOLD, it projects. It actually lets everybody know that you are present and you are in the room. Whereas when it comes to P33, it is more of a intimate, up close, let me experience you as I come closer. If you like woody style notes with a slight citrus touch, then I strongly recommend to you P33. I find that when this fragrance opens, it has a beautiful bittersweet component to it. The citrus is a bergamot along with grapefruit, but it has this beautiful apple. And I find that the grapefruit apple components sort of play beautifully together. The sweetness is there, but there's also this bitterness that also comes through at the same time. As the fragrance migrates, there is a cinnamon note in the heart. In the base, there are things like cypress and amber, some musks in there. And I find that those other more aromatic component, in particular the cypress, begins to emerge and come forward. There is a touch of spiciness from that cinnamon. And for me, I feel that it's a little bit more wood-like. So it's more of a cinnamon bark as opposed to a ground cinnamon cooking sort of gourmand note. Glorious fragrance. In episode 2, I did mention about what is this unique lid all about. For me, I love the thought that this is actually a fountain pen nib. And in line with the sketchbook concept where Sergio Momo is writing ideas and concepts, this too, as a fragrance, is writing our memories, our olfactory memories that are connected to a fragrance. My connection to sketchbook, and another reason why I adore this fragrance, is that, and here's the photo again, I was fortunate to go to the Xerjoff Excellence party. At that party, this fragrance had just been released and was in full display. I do remember wearing it, enjoying it at the time, and Sergio Momo was there. Now I quickly gave my camera to my wife, and I guess in her excitement, in my exuberance, being here with Sergio, it wasn't until afterwards we looked at the photo that we saw that in my wife's excitement, she was focusing so beautifully on the floral arrangement that was there that we were out of focus. So I promise, this photo is Sergio and myself. One day, I know I'll have the opportunity to sit side by side with Sergio, enjoy an interview together. It will be in focus, and we will be able to go into a lot more detail about his incredible creations. The next fragrance is glorious for those who love all things floral. This does fall into a floral amber category. This is part of the Join the Club. What I love about Join the Club is it almost takes a leaf out of Alessandro Galtieri's work. For those who may not be familiar with Alessandro, he's the brainchild of Nasomato and Orto Parisi, and one of the things that he loves doing is not revealing notes. Sometimes I find that as we experience a fragrance, our brain wants to, well, at least this man's brain, wants to grab, what is this note? What am I smelling here? And naturally you satisfy that itch by going and seeing what are the different notes within the fragrance. However, this can also be a distraction. Sometimes we look at notes and we go, oh yeah, I like all these notes. I'm gonna love that fragrance, only to discover that, hang on a second, it's so different. Or we may look at notes and go, man, it's got rose, I don't like rose. Whereas with Join the Club, the notes have not been revealed, and the intention is smell the fragrance and see if you like it. The only clue is in the name. Now this one here, I adore. And I'm gonna spray. I'm gonna spray on me. My recommendation is this one, yes, spray on card. It'll give you an indication, but spray on skin, it's gonna make a world of difference. This is a floral fragrance. So for men who might not be comfortable in wearing florals, I would actually encourage you to go out and test this. A man can comfortably wear this. This is actually my fragrance. My wife loves wearing it too, but I love this as my winter, cool evening, springtime, or fall autumn fragrance. The things that I detect, I get a slight orange blossom, jasmine on the opening. There is a beautiful, almost carnal, very deep, ylang-ylang, amber-like quality. There is a sweetness in there that is almost honey nectar-like. Now it could be the flowers. It could be the flowers creating that nectar component. But there is this divine sweetness. It does dry down into this floral amber place. It's always this warm, enveloping nature to the fragrance. In my opinion, this is a lot more of a winter, cooler weather fragrance. It has incredible projection. I find that sometimes some fragrances don't perform as well in cooler weather. This is one that will take you to the next day. 24 hours on skin, and I find that its sillage and projection are both moderate to high. It has beautiful push. When I am wearing it over our cooler months here in Melbourne, it is very discernible. I've been to many meetings where I get compliments about the fragrance that I'm wearing. 400, what's that about? So 400 Oxford Street in London is Selfridges. This is about being immersed in a beautiful retail space. This is about sophistication. This is about elegance. This is about something that never goes out of style. Glorious fragrance. As I said, on a man, suited up with a tie, going to a formal event, going to something that is of significance, a wedding, a first date, or anything of that nature, 400 is quite a statement maker for that individual. On a woman, it is divine. When my wife wears it, it radiates off her skin. As I said, those ambery florals that are in the fragrance are divine on her. The next one's a huge favorite of mine. 40 Knots is an absolute chameleon. I've read so many different comments where some people absolutely adore it and other people are like, take it away from me. But I do have the dry down here. I sprayed it earlier. I recently did a poll on my channel. I have an episode or a series of episodes called Mate Talk. I asked people to write in what was their favorite XERJOFF. The number one came back as 40 Knots. Again, this is another join the club. So we don't know what notes are in this particular fragrance. The hint is in the name. 40 Knots is a celebration of all things marine aquatic. The term 40 knots, I did some research. What does it actually mean? I'm not a sailing kind of person. The America's Cup, a fast boat, is going at a speed of 30 knots. The idea is that 40 knots is about pure vibrance, exuberance. It's about energy, this explosion of joy. I love the evolution of this fragrance. I feel like most XERJOFFs do a lot of different sort of moving and dancing, where they start, where they end, so many different places, but nothing like 40 Knots. On opening, I'm getting this wonderful sea spray component. It has a slight, almost saffron-like quality to it. There is a spiciness, slight touch of suede. It then migrates to this beautiful wood-like, then amber. It does have this cardamom, black tea component on the complete dry down. I had an opportunity to go to Turkey. We were in a town called Cappadocia, or Cappadocia. It's pronounced in many different ways. And every morning I would be served this aromatic Turkish tea. Now, I don't know what was in this tea other than it smells so much like this. There is this sweetness in there that I couldn't quite define. Is it fruit-like? I'm not sure. Does it have an apple component? I'm not sure. There is a definite spiciness, cardamom component to it. I know that when I smelled this for the first time, it did take me to this moment. It did take me to Cappadocia. I could see the place that I was staying. We were staying in this beautiful cave hotel, and this tea that was being served was very similar to this. Not an ocean or any sea salt anywhere to be found. The best way that I can define this fragrance is if Megha Mare and Gris Chanel Extrait got married, had a baby, 40 knots would be its child, which is a glorious relationship right there, personally. Another XERJOFF that is exceptional, beautiful longevity, great on skin. For me, I find that it goes from a high to a moderate, very good presence. People can detect the fragrance when I'm wearing it. And then when it comes to its longevity on skin, I'm getting 10 plus hours, in most cases 24. I'll spray it one day, the next morning, I'm still detecting it on skin. Boom. Okay, let me move on. Last two. Best two to the end. This one here was my pick for 2022. I don't blind buy. I do love experiencing fragrances. I want to see how they play on my skin. As I mentioned earlier, sometimes by reading notes, it doesn't necessarily translate into what that fragrance is about. However, as a collector, if you are a collector and you're still here, it's on you now. XERJOFF is the sponsor of the NITO ATP Tour and has that contract for 5 years. There's 2 more. Guess what? I have to get all 5 of them. I mean, otherwise it would be wrong. The siblings will all be crying. This one here I blind bought. Here's the episode where my wife and I experienced it for the very first time. We didn't like it. Well, I mean, I was okay with it. My wife didn't enjoy it. This has fast become our favorite in the entire family. My son, who recently, I have a library system where my family can borrow fragrances and use them for a period. I have to rip this out of his hands. He loves this fragrance. Whenever he is wearing it, the projection, the sillage is just enormous, no matter where we are, whether we're indoor or outdoor. Torino 22 has this incredible power. It's such a glorious fragrance. It's interesting. When I first experienced it, I did detect a slight menthol herbal note, and this was the reason why my wife didn't enjoy it. Now, I recommend, yes, you can put it on card, but on skin is where this fragrance sings. I also there it is. Oh my gosh. See the magic that evolves when you actually spray it on your actual skin. What I find with this fragrance here, incredible evolution. Where it begins, where it dries into, where it dries down to are all different places. No matter where it is on that equation, the whole process is just warm and ambery and divine. It's a fragrance that wants to draw you in. It's alluring. It has a, baby, what's your name kind of feeling to it. It makes your head turn. Who is wearing this? There's so many components to this fragrance that make it magical. So in my opinion, it's not just a single thing. I have said before that I do love the saffron touch that is on the opening. I find that saffron merges its way all the way through the fragrance. However, there's things like sage. There's also yerba mate. There's also wood notes in the base. I feel that all of these play a different role as the fragrance evolves. The green component is there, but never overtakes. The saffron spiciness is there, but never overtakes. The ambery, warmth, woody component is also there, but never overtakes. It's this beautiful round composition. Never does it go, I am this. Unlike ERBA GOLD, where even though there's no mango in it, you are detecting a very clear tropical fruit note that's there. Whereas with Torino 22, it's this soft roundness of ambery divine magic. I find that on me and my entire family, the projection, the sillage on this is enormous. Do not be fooled by the softness of this fragrance. So don't overspray is what I'm saying. 2 to 3, more than sufficient to keep you going for the day. You will find that it lasts 24 hours plus, and you will also find that its sillage, its projection, its volume and presence is very distinct. a glorious fragrance, massive recommendation. I think it's pretty clear I love all things Xerjoff, and I think it's also pretty clear that I do love all things Italian. I actually married an Italian woman. Not long ago, my wife and I had a chance to go visit her family. Now, they're from Calabria, the south of Italy, and I find that the Calabrians, where all of Italy speak with their hands, the Calabrians take it to another level. This is Sandra's uncle. And I loved, even though I didn't quite understand the dialect that he was speaking, some words I comprehended, but it was his hands. One of the hands expressions that he would do constantly was this one here, which basically meant, I don't know, or what are you talking about? Or I'm not so sure. If you want to use hand signals, then you would do that for this particular fragrance here. Unlike all these others that I've just shared, you'll find that each one of these falls into an instant love category. The moment you spray, you're like, my gosh, where have you been all my life? Whereas when you come to Groove Escape, I won't be surprised if you do this, because this is now a whole new expression within the Xerjoff collection. This is something that is quite unique. I also love using on my channel the categories of new recruit or a veteran or a 5-star general. Most of these will fall into a new recruit or a veteran category, whereas Groove Escape, it's only for the 5-star generals. This will not necessarily challenge you, but will surprise you that this is actually a Xerjoff. What I love about Sergio Momo is that you can see his hand across the whole house. You can see his design background coming into play. One thing that I love about creative people is that they're not just relegated to one category, meaning that just because this person's a film director doesn't mean that they don't enjoy other elements of creative outlets. In the case of Sergio, he is an avid musician. He's actually an accomplished guitarist, and he's also done a number of collaborations with other musicians. Brian May, also Tony Iommi, which that particular fragrance, if you haven't experienced it, stop right now, pause this video, go across to this particular episode and check out this fragrance. This is an absolute winner. Then he's also done things with Duran Duran and recently Groove Escape, which is a collaboration with a gentleman by the name of Max Casacci. Now, you'd be going, who is Max Casacci? I wouldn't be surprised if you were to do that. He's actually a Turin-born musician. I recently had a chance to listen to his music. It's not my style. It's quite unusual, quite unique. It's very ethereal with the soundscape that he creates. When this fragrance opens up, and as I mentioned before, 5-star generals only, I almost feel like I've opened a bag of black pepper. Just this, inhaling this very woody, very peppery-like component. It does have a touch of ginger, and I find that the fragrance is compartmentalized, meaning that black pepper ginger just explodes on that opening. It then migrates to this cardamom, elemi place, balsamic in nature. It is arresting. It takes you by surprise because, for me at least, when I first experienced it, I was waiting to experience this citrus, brightness, happiness, rather than this very deep, this very resinous, almost incense-like fragrance, which is so removed from the Xerjoff universe. For those who are familiar with Amouage, this would not be a surprise to be in its lineup. Whereas in the Xerjoff lineup, it's like, wow, we're really going in a whole new direction. When we think of an incense fragrance, we instantly associate it to church. I've heard many times, incense, it's church-like in its profile. This is not that. This is something completely different. In fact, I sprayed it earlier today. As it migrates in that mid part of the fragrance, this rose begins to emerge. So those spicy components that we discovered in the opening begin to come down. You're getting this beautiful rose component coming through, along with a mimosa. The mimosa is a powdery, earthy-like scent profile to it. There's also things like myrrh in the fragrance, so you are getting that incense quality, but it's not church-like. I'm on the dry down now, and I'm getting this wonderfully soft, powdery incense component. All those early, spicy, very sharp notes that were there in the beginning have come off completely. It almost has like a clean, soapy scent profile to it. It's so unique. It's so unusual. And also it's so surprising. It's not something that I expected from this fragrance. Recently, I was wearing this in preparation for today. My wife came into the car and instantly she's like, wow, that's a beautiful perfume. I was truthfully surprised. Sandra, my wife, does not like incense fragrance. I then quizzed her, what are you smelling? What are you detecting? She says, I can detect incense, but not church-like. I find that the longevity on this fragrance is eternal, as you would expect. It lasts 24 hours plus. Interestingly though, the sillage and projection are in the moderate category. It's not a room filler. It doesn't sort of just, spread itself everywhere. It is quite moderate around me. It's confident, moderate. It never goes down to a body scent or a low presence. Another one that is a big winner. Bada bing. There you have it. 7 fragrances. I'd strongly recommend. If you're new to XERJOFF, a great place to begin. Any one of these, so here, I would strongly recommend to you if you are new to XERJOFF, this one here, 5-star journals only. If you're an Aussie, don't forget the Libertine Perfumerie promotion that we've got running. Any full bottle XERJOFF that you buy off their website, use the code NFCXERJOFF to go into the draw to win a 100ml bottle of ERBA Gold. Remember, you can enter multiple times. Just make sure that you do that as separate orders so that you can have separate entries. Good luck, everybody. I will be doing a part 4, so let me know other fragrances that you'd like me to explore within the XERJOFF range. I'll do it for the team. I'll do it for everybody. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.